First car up is the 993 generation, the first 911 to have the 6-speed gearbox fitted as standard. Next to it is a real rarity, one of only 1,000 vehicles built globally and one of just 13 in the UK, the Alfa Romeo S Zed, a really special looking motor car. This SZ is finished in red, one of only 3 official colours that were made. Red with black leather, yellow with black leather and black with a red leather interior. It's an absolutely beautiful example and in a stunning condition, and an absolute credit to its owner. Next to this is the original Audi Quattro, so-called Quattro, being the German for original, and it's the car that changed world rallying with 4-wheel drives. This looks to be a later 20 valve model and really stunning condition. So-called car you always promised yourself is here represented by a 1983 Ford Capri in silver blue. This one is a 2-litre S example, and probably you'll agree that the interior and exterior of the car are in absolutely concours condition. A traditional British classic is up next. This is a 1961 Austin 7, the twin sister of the Morris Mini Minor. It's an absolutely beautiful car and currently one that's for sale by its current owner. Not quite yet a classic, but many of these examples of the Mercedes SLK have already disappeared from the roads. This is the compressor example and in really superb condition. At first glance this would appear to be a Mark I Escort estate that's been modified, but in actual fact the shell of this vehicle was one of 6 experimental vehicles built by Ford to test the concept of a fast estate in the mid-70s before the Mark II Escort arrived. The suspension mounting points and other areas of the car have been strengthened, and the owners simply applied a RS2000 colour scheme. Really unusual here is a Renault Caravel convertible based on the Renault Dolphin of the same period. This vehicle ran from 1958 to 1968 and is something that you're very unlikely to see on the roads these days. A really special looking vehicle. It's a beautiful 1959 Austin Healey frog-eyed Sprite, so named because of the front headlamps. This particular vehicle has been fitted by the owner with an 1100cc engine to replace the asthmatic one that was fitted standard. Another vehicle exported to America in large numbers was a Triumph TR6. This is a K registration, I think a 1973, finished in a dark green metallic and an absolutely beautiful wood and leather interior. Not yet a classic is the Bmw Z3, which was launched in 1995 and used many components for the contemporary E36, but the suspension components of the older E30. It was replaced by the Z4 after June 2002 and may well also be a future classic. Beset in its day with reliability issues and underrated is the Giovanni Michelotti designed Triumph Stag fitted with the 3-litre engine. This particular example is in the original colour of magenta and has to be one of the best that's available. I'm not an expert in the BMW T1 split screen bus, but this has to be one of the nicest examples with some subtle modifications. Not quite a really low rider, but in actual fact looks really usable. The opening front screen is something that is really a novelty on a hot day like today, is at least some compensation for the lack of air conditioning. Next up is a classic Volvo, the 122 Amazon, which was produced from 1959 and had an unbelievably long production run right through to 1970. This E-plated vehicle is a 1967 example and remarkable in that it was one of the first vehicles ever to be fitted with seat belts. 668,000 of these vehicles were produced and many went for export, but it was also produced in Belgium, Canada, South Africa, Chile and of course its native Sweden. Whilst this Morris Minor doesn't look like an original, it does look like a tastefully modified vehicle. Next we have some Capris, and covering most of the generations here we have a Mark III 2.8, a Mark I in silver and black, and next to this a beautiful metallic green Mark I as well. Further down the row we can see there is also an example of another Mark III, and finally towards the end of the row we can see one of the special editions that Ford ran throughout the period. A really special car. This is the JPS edition, John Player Special Edition of the Capri Mark II. An absolutely fascinating car with a great history and something that is pretty much unique. Beautiful 1985 Alfa Romeo Sprint. Earlier vehicles were known as the Alfa Romeo Alfa Sud Sprint, and it was designed by Giuseppe Giugiaro. Not many of these vehicles still exist, and certainly there can't be too many left in this fantastic condition. It ran all the way right through from 1976 to 1989, and it has a long production run with vehicles being sold in Europe, South Africa, Australia and even New Zealand. Another fast forward is the RS Turbo. This is a second generation car based on the Mark IV Escort in red and with some tasteful modifications. Another unusual car is the Fiat Uno Turbo IE. Another rare car on the roads today, with 7 licensed at the moment and just over 100 off-road. It's really unusual to see these 1372cc engine vehicles, which were incredibly powerful in the day and a real hot hatch. There's a beautiful blue example of the Vauxhall Magnum, which was manufactured from 1973 to 1978, fitted with the 1800cc engine. It's a pretty rare car these days, particularly in coupe format. As you can see, the 70s interior survived really well, and the condition generally of this vehicle is absolutely outstanding. Very unusual vehicle is the Bomber, which is a small British two-seater three-wheeler which was manufactured by Bond Cars in Preston and designed by Ogle Design. It was subsequently also built at Reliance Tamworth factory as well, and fitted with a Reliance 700cc engine and later on a 750. One of these cars sold to a record amount recently. This example of the Ford Fiesta, which was launched in 1977, is from July 1981, and it's a 1100cc relatively basic model. Really beautiful condition, and something that we used to see in commonplace on the roads and rarely seen these days. The Jaguar Xk8, codename X100, was launched by Jaguar Cars in 1996 and ran right through to 2006. This particular vehicle dates from 2003 and is fitted with a 4.2 litre engine and is in absolutely beautiful condition, complemented by a really clean beige leather interior and traditional Jaguar wooden dashboard. Another classic Volvo is this Volvo P1800, and this is one of the Jensen built cars before production was moved back to Sweden and the vehicle became known as the P1800S. It has the colour scheme which is relating to the Saint TV series, and I think it's something that is a really special car. Harry Potter fans will surely appreciate this splendid 1962 997cc Ford Anglia 105e, an absolutely beautiful car and one of the last generation of Ford Anglias that was produced. This car's fitted with a red interior and obviously has the trademark rear screen that marked out Ford Anglias of the period. Next is a 1998 Ford Sierra Sapphire 4x4, originally coming out of the factory with over 200 horsepower. Many of these, like this particular model, have seen some modifications that will make them much faster. No classic car show would be complete without a Mark II Ford Escort. This one's been pretty heavily modified, and I think in actual fact had a Z-Tech engine fitted. The trademark styling, the Cibi Oscar lamps at the front really set the car apart, and I'm sure this is something that reminds those of you who had Scalextric sets in their youth of the rally cars of the period. The Jaguar XJ, or Experimental Jaguar as it was called, was launched in Series 1 format in the late 1960s and ran to 1973. This is a 5.3 litre V12 Series 2 car, and in actual fact dates from August 1978, benefits from the beautiful leather interior and wood trim that those vehicles are known for. Originally built for the homologation of a rally version is this Peugeot 106 Rally. This is a facelifted version and it dates from 1998. It's an absolutely beautiful condition. It's a rare car these days, and they're reckoned to be less than 100 on the road. Certainly values are on the increase. It is a super rare and really unusual 110 brake horsepower Lotus powered Escort twin cam, which was developed by Ford's Borum-based competitions department during 1967. It had a fantastic competition history, and its first win was in 1968 on the Circuit of Ireland Rally, driven by the famous Roger Clark. It became the car to beat, and extremely rare these days to see one of these. Dating from April 1965 is one of my favourite cars, the Grasshopper Green Sunbeam Rapier. I believe this is either a Mark IV or Mark V car, being on the crossover period when the new model was introduced in 1965. It's absolutely in superb condition. These vehicles were exported all over the world. It's fitted with some really nice period accessories, the spotlight on the A-pillar on the driver's side, and actually benefits from a really nice period radio and superb interior. It's probably one of the best examples I've ever seen.
That was nice. I'd rather be talking to each other and not things like being nervous.
We need somebody who knows where they're going because
From 1976 is this Rover P6 2.2, and it's a very late car, coming just a few months before production finished in 1977. It was a relatively well received car at the time and benefited from a unique set of safety features, and was replaced eventually by the Rover SD1. And finally, to finish part one, is the BMW 850i E31 Generation, which was built from 1990 to 1999. This is a beautiful 1995 example, and one that's looking for a new home.